What it is, y'all, it's your old boy Pilk, and I'm coming back today with more Danmachi. Now, a lot of you guys that are new at the game have reached out to me and have asked a lot of questions about Record Buster, and I'm here to kind of cover as much as I possibly can. Now, I've got a pretty good team here that I think is one of those. It's not going to be dominant. This is not going to be like the best team you've ever seen. By a long shot, this is not going to be. But hopefully we can get a top 1,000 score, maybe even better than that. And this is a team you'll be able to use a lot for a lot of different things. But we're going to talk specifically about Record Buster, about what this Record Buster does, what some of the other Record Busters do, and how you want to approach these. Because if you're new at the game, you might be a bit bewildered by some of the scores you've seen out there. So let me kind of explain this. Let's jump in and let's kind of walk through this. Now, first things first, the team I built here is almost predominantly anniversary team. We've got this Harhime, which dropped from the anime, but happened during the anniversary. We've obviously got the Finn, the two Lazars, and Fianna, who all forgot her name for a minute, which is horrible because she was the name of the entire event, who were all from the anniversary, obviously. We've got the two Felices from the anniversary. I am using this Eyes. Now, I really like this Eyes. She's an older unit, but she has general pool. If you don't have her, there's plenty of other units you can use. The whole reason that I'm using her is because she boosts SA gauge by 111%. That's literally the only reason she's on this team. That's it. That's her entire purpose in existing. Okay. Now, I am also using Argo here at +4. I do have a star bond I can give him. I'm not going to. I'm going to see what kind of numbers we can get with an assist that is +4 rather than max limit broken. And if you want to know the difference, basically, if I were to max limit break him, light resist and thunder resist would go down 20%. Penetration rate, I don't think is, maybe it goes up to 25. Maybe it actually does go up to 25. Those are the big things that are really affected by this. Now, when he is attacked, he'll do strength of magic down 40%, and that's helpful. It'll be nice to get that debuff out there. He's not mandatory. There are other units you can use to get this debuff out there. In fact, we've got one on the team, but it's an early win for the team, and it'll definitely help out in the long run. And you'll kind of see what I mean as we go along with that. So if you don't have the Argonaut unit, because he did drop pre-anniversary, there are plenty of other units you can use, especially general pool units. You just want to make sure that you debuff the light resistance, okay? I'm also using the Apollo unit from last year's anniversary. Now, I understand a lot of you guys that are new at the game do not have him, but you probably have somebody that can drop physical resistance. That's the number one thing we're doing here. Now, critical rate, penetration rate, and guard rate, nice, but physical resistance down is the number one thing. So if you don't have Apollo, most of you that are really new at the game do not. Just find somebody you've got that does your best physical resistance debuff. Alternatively, you could buff physical attack, but largely you get just better results out of buffing debuffing the resistance. Finally, in slot 1, we have Ali. Now, Ali is great. Ali does SA gauge charge 33% at max limit break. I really wish I had her fully max limit broken. I really wish I did. Do I have the Prism Bonds to do it? I don't believe I do. I do not. So, unfortunately, I can't max limit break her right now. I really wish I could. Because at max limit break, she does 33%. So, we're going to kind of struggle on with the 22% and see where we get. Hopefully, with Eyes on the team, that'll help out a little bit more. In fact, I'm going to move Eyes onto Fianna. And I'm going to put Argo over here because I really want my biggest physical attackers to be on my biggest physical units. So Apollo has a physical attack of 712, so I'm actually going to put Apollo back there. So I'm going to do that. Because if you really pay attention to your Finn, his SA does 100% damage per self-strength buff skill. So having a good strength buff skill in the adventure and the assist side, that's going to make that 200%. He's going to be a crazy good DPS. So we want to have our highest physical stat on him, and that's 100% Apollo. Now, her SA, which we may or may not use, but her SA is AoE. So if we go in here, You'll notice it is foes plural ultralight physical attack. It is 100% buff, but because it is AoE, it doesn't hit nearly as hard. We'll make a decision as to whether we're going to use that or not based on how far we get, but for now, just understand that the Light Lazar is our biggest hitter, or Light Lazar is a big buffer, a big hitter. The Light Finn is our biggest hitter, so it kind of goes in order of I want Finn to have the biggest physical buff, Light Lazar to have the other one. Because Fiona's an AoE, she can get the other unit, who doesn't really buff physical as much, but she's still very, very good. Now, 6 units here. Here's the thing. A lot of you that are new at the game may not have what I'm about to show you, but you need to run some record busters. You need to get to the point where you can get this because it's super duper important. All right. So first things first, equipment, and then we'll get to that. Well, we'll talk equipment. Okay. Everybody on this team is running a glorious anklet to reduce stun. Now there are other units in the game. You can run a unit like Alamus that does stun resistance. Great. You could do that. That'll be awesome. Just anything you do to stop from getting stunned. Those of us that are in the OG, we've been running these stun anklets for a really long time. Notice it gives you 100% stun resistance. That means you're not going to get stunned by Otarl at all. So literally everybody on my team is running a stun anklet. Let me double check, make sure this Haruhime is. Yes, she is. So hers is level 60. That'll be fine. Actually, you know what? With this record buster, I do want to make sure I get the top-notch one. So let's filter this down by ornament. And okay, so that one's at 90. So we want a level 90. So I should have a level 90 here. Fiona's got one that's seal. Here we go. Here's a stun resistance at 90. Perfect. Everybody else does have a 90%. It's just the back lot 2 are sometimes questionable. So, because I did an auto equip, and because it equips Lazar with one, the Earth Lazar with one. But see, I'm not going to use Earth Lazar with a stun resistance equipment. So what I did is I took his off and I forgot to put it on Haruhime at the end. Easy fix. We just did that. Now, here's the one that really, really, really matters. Revolving Amulet. Now, this one's a magic amulet. I find there's not enough of a difference between the magic and the physical to really make me care about which one I'm running on which unit. Yes, you can eke out a hair more damage, but frankly, for the most part, the amount of damage you produce is quite negligible. So, well, he's a physical unit. I'm running the magic amulet just because that's what I've got. Now, what this does, this means after the first turn that he's in play, he's going to leave. So, and to craft these, you do need the items from Record Busters. So a lot of you guys that are new may not be able to craft this quite yet. That's fine. There are other ways to do that. Literally, there are items in here where you can nerf their health, get them killed off. It really won't make a difference. To do that, if I go over here to Equip, go to Filter, go to Ornament, the War Princess Ear Cuff. You'll actually see ones on Winnie up there. I'll not explain what that mechanic is right now. We'll cover that in another Record Buster. Well, maybe we'll cover that in tomorrow's video or something. Nevertheless, the War Princess Ear Cuff nerfs health. So you'll see here HP goes down by 90%. It's anywhere between like 50 and 90%. So the reason I've got multiples here is I've got one at 60. The one on her is at 70%. So that is another way you can do this. Basically, what that does is ensures they get killed off early. This is a little more clean way to run it, and I use these all of the time. So as soon as you can craft these, do so. They're incredibly, incredibly important. So basically, Lazar has one, and then this Haruhime has one. You notice this Haruhime is level 60, but because she's only going to come in for one turn, it really doesn't matter. So I'll show you this in action. Let's go ahead and jump in here. I got to make sure that turn auto battle off. All right, so to see this in action, turn 1, I'm going to use Lazar to debuff Otarl's single target resistance. So his skill 1 here, Earth resist down 40%, but it says attack all types single target. So that's going to increase all single target attacks by 30%. That's a significant number, a very significant number. So I want to get that off early. I need to get that off here, okay? Everybody else, I'm pretty much just going to build their buff stack. Now, the one thing you do want to know about Otaro is going to remove your buffs. So, any buffs that are in play on your team are subject to be removed. Because of that, we need to make sure that debuffs kind of get replicated and kind of, make sure they stay in place. So this one here, let's see here. This is good for 4 turns. So we'll be good. We'll have enough time to drop Haruhime in the game and get that buffed, I suspect. Now, Light Lazar. Light Lazar is literally just going to come out. He's going to do his big buff. You'll notice here that there's a physical magic resistance buff. We're going to wait and do that on turn 4, or turn 3, when Haruhime comes in. So I'm just going to do his skill 2, and just get as much of his buff essentials out as possible. Okay, here comes Fianna. Fianna will buff SA Gauge Charge and do a couple other buffs. That SA Gauge Charge is important. You need somebody on the front line that does that, because getting your special attack off early is vital in these things. And you'll see what I mean by that. Okay? Finally, Finn. We're just going to go ahead and buff Finn. Easy peasy. His skill 1 does a KO save, but it's very expensive. 230 MP is exceptionally expensive. So I want to save that. So I'm going to go ahead and do his skill 2, and we're going to go and attack. Boom, boom. Now, the biggest downside to Otaro here is the simple fact that Otaro, well, how do I put this? He's kind of a jerk. He doesn't really have a buff or anything like that you could remove, so he just hits hard all the time. So if he's beating the snot out of you, I'm running this at difficulty 7. You can, if he's just hitting you too hard, you could drop down a difficulty. There's no problem with that. Yes, you're not going to get the insane score, but if your units aren't maxed limit broken, you might have a hard time with level 7. Run level 6, run level 5. Run whatever level you can comfortably run and survive this. But you'll notice that Lazar left, and in came that Haruhime. That Haruhime has one purpose and one purpose alone, and that is to drop physical resistance, okay? Physical resistance down 40% is going to let everybody else do significantly more damage. Now, that is for 2 turns. 2 turns. That means if I don't rebuff that soon, we're in trouble. If I had run that on turn 1, it would have been gone. It would have been out of commission. It would not have been a factor. So I need to make sure that on this turn, I start doing buff replication. The great news is, Fianna, with her extra action, will actually do status buff on allies plus 2 turns. And status buff or status debuff on foes, also plus 2 turns. So her extra action is going to make sure that that is replicated. So that's great news. That's excellent news. If we drop that turn 1, though, we might not have been so happy. So, just to be on the safe side, any unit that has a lower number of turns, i.e., this one here says physical resistance for 2 turns. Remember, the AoE attack was for 4 turns, literally double the number of turns. So Haruhime being in turn 2 makes more sense. Just gives us more opportunities to kind of expand that. Now, Lazar, we don't really want to do his skill 3 yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and do his skill 1. Basically, it's a big buff, and I want to wait for Haruhime to be in here, so we're going to do that. We'll cover that. Same with Finn. I want to make sure that I save this for turn 3. So we're going to go ahead and do his skill 1. Big single target attack. Now, Fianna. I really don't see... So, unless your opponent is buffed, or he's debuffing you guys, you don't really need to use her skill 2, so I can go ahead and do her skill 1 once again. So we're all in big single target attacks now. So that's the good news. Now, we're already in the fight. With the old style, you'd still be buffing and all that stuff. So with this new team for this anniversary, you're already in the fight. You're already doing damage. You're already, knuckling down on this fool. So that is turn 2. Now, trust me, it gets a little bit easier from this point on. There's a lot of spammable skills, but we got to get through these first few rotations and its first essay for this to make a lot of sense. If you made it this far, congratulations. You're probably I'd say about halfway to the end. I'm going to surmise. Maybe a little bit more. Believe me, once this gets to late turn 4, we're pretty much on a schedule. So, turn 3. Notice the other Haruhime came in. Our other Haruhime left. That's what those revolving amulets do. Basically, that Lazar, he left, in came the first Haruhime. She left, in came this Haruhime. This Haruhime, we need to go ahead and do her SA gauge charge. That's going to just give everybody on the team just basically a rebuff of that SA gauge charge. They kind of already have it, and it's not imperative. I can rebuff it later. But there's other things on here. Physical resistance, magic resistance, and all that. Actually, we get that here with this. With a heal, I actually take that back. I'm going to go ahead and do... You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and that way we can just keep doing his skill 1. We don't necessarily need this now. So... Because strength, magic, and penetration rate down 40%. I bet you, with our assist, we already have strength and magic down 40%. Which we do. Right there. So, great news. That's another reason I always keep the icons on over here. I can turn the icons off. It looks prettier. But with the icons on, I can keep track of everything going on there. So you notice up there at the top, there's the S and M. It's not what that means. Strength and magic. It has a little red arrow pointing down. That means the strength and magic debuff is active. So, good news on that. So, I'm going to do your skill 1, and I'm going to keep him in skill 1. With her, I'm going to keep her. We don't have any debuffs, or our opponent doesn't have any buffs. So, I keep Fiona in skill 1 as well. Now, Finn. Finn's skill 3 gives everybody a KO save, and I think that's really super important. Plus, it gives them extra actions, which will be really nice. It is an expensive attack. I say attack. Action, because it's not really an attack. It's an expensive action from the standpoint of MP. Notice it just, like, murdered his MP. But, that's that little bar right there. But, it's worth it. It's totally worth it. Because if somebody takes a big hit on this this SA he's about to do at the end of turn 4, it'll save us. So, with that, I could sit here and do status buff and status debuff, but it's already in play. I don't need to do it. I don't think anybody has any buffs, falling out of commission here. Nope. Nope. Everybody's got good buffs. And notice that some of these are like... Normally, some of these skills that have 1 turn left, this would be the turn where we rebuff that, but I'm not going to do that. Mostly because any kind of buff or anything like that we need, we're going to get next turn anyway. So, why would I worry about it? Let's just move on. So, I'm going to go ahead and just basically keep on keeping on. So everybody else is going to keep their big single target attack. Haruhime, the new one that just dropped in, is even going to do hers. And notice it does an ally's 10% MP heal. Spamming this is going to be super important. Now, in some of the other fights, your opponent will buff themselves. You'll see a icon drop on the top with a blue up arrow, and it'll either say strength or magic or S or M. Otaro doesn't do that. He just hits like a truck no matter what. There's no buffs to remove. He's just a rugged opponent. And make no mistake, as much as that one didn't hurt me, I've got good units. I've got solid units, fully max ascended, fully everything. So if you come in here with +3s and +4s, that could be deadly. And the drop-off is rapid. It's not saying it's not worth trying. Definitely worth trying. But just be careful with it. Now we're into the land of pretty much we're good to go with most everything. So what I'm going to do, we have our most of our buffs and everything ready to go. So what I can do, let's see, I've got 2 SA here. So every 4 turns, we're going to get 2 SAs. Maybe more than that, actually. Let's ponder this for a moment. So I do need to do skill 1 with this Haruhime. But I'm debating if that's worthwhile. I may want to do her SA and then use her skill 3. Let's see. So this Haruhime does... Well, she already does SA gauge increase by 44% for 3 turns. That's a little bit better, actually. And she gives everyone strength and magic 120%. So then we wouldn't even need this, so we could continue doing her skill 1, big single target attack. Now, note here, Now, the downside is, though, actually... Well, you know what? Actually, take that back. That'd be fine. We need buff replication, though. Tell you what. Yeah, let's do that. 10% MP heal on all allies. I think it's actually to be worthwhile. So we're going to do her SA. That's going to give everybody an opportunity to do a little bit more damage. And I hope this will pay out. I kind of hope so. So I'm in heavy debate here because there is some point at which her 111% SA gauge charge on herself is really worthwhile. Yeah, let's do her skill 1. The main thing I'm debating here is because I do at some point need to... I basically need to give everybody their buffs, but if I can do that on turn 10, that'll kind of be the sweet spot. Actually, you know what? I could. No, you know what? I'm going to save it. I'm going to do all that on turn 9. Follow me here. So we're going to go ahead and do her skill 1. His skill 2 for the buff. And normally I could buff her and get the... you know what? I think the extra action is worth it. I think actually the extra action is going to be worth it. It is a redundant skill in some regards, but the extra action of the debuff replication is going to be worthwhile. Notice our debuffs are good, but I'm going to hedge my bets on this. I'm gonna actually soldier on with this, even though there is some redundancy in it. Finally, skill 2 for both Finn and Lazar. So we're doing skill 1 with Haruhime, skill 2 with Lazar, skill 3 with Fianna, despite the redundancies, but we want that extra action, and then skill 2 with Finn. Let's go. Now the big goal here is to have a quad SA by turn 10. That would be the perfect scenario, and we're easily going to have that. I don't know if we'd have that if we spent a little bit now. Now, if I did have the full 33%, I actually could do another SA here, talking about when it comes to the assist I'm using. My Ali is only doing 22%. If I had 33% on her, we talked about that at the beginning of the video. That assist would have helped out drastically. But we're here now. We're good to go. We're just going to soldier on. So, with Haruhime, I can go ahead and do her skill 3. That gives us MP healing. She does do buff replication here, but honestly, I think the cost of doing it with Fianna is worthwhile, because then everybody can go back in and do their big singles. So literally, Haruhime's skill 3, everybody else's skill 1 for the single target attack. And if you're wondering what's the deal with Finn, notice this KO save stays in play. So if I actually click on him, it'll say avoids KO once. That's still in play. I don't need to worry about that. It's not going anywhere. So I really don't have anything to worry about. In fact, my biggest concern right now is that maybe my SA gauge might be filling too quickly. There might have been some benefit to actually doing an early SA. So let's see. Let's gauge this here. So Lazar, he's a big single target unit. He's only got strength 40%. Fianna's got light damage 100%, strength probably 40%. Yep. He's got strength 70% and light attribute 70%. So having strength buff would help. So I'm going to go ahead and do Haruhime's strength buff. Well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to gamble on it. I'm going to do it. Because I do feel like we would actually be good with a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and do the SA gauge here. Because that's going to give everybody 120% strength and magic for the next... Unfortunately, only 2 turns. I should have done that early on. But it's fine. Notice how quickly our SA gauge charge is still going up. But I can go back in here and do her skill 3. And everyone's still doing their big single target attack. And we should be fine. Let's make sure that we have a good, let's see. Yep, magic resistance, physical resistance. We're good. We're good there. We're good. So we'll keep going. So the honest answer is where I was trying to gauge should I have done the essay on turn 5. The honest answer is yes. I should have done Haruhime's essay on turn 5. It would have saved me a huge headache. But we're here now. We're fine. I'm not worried about it. All I need to do is make sure that we get our essay build up, and we'll be golden. So now everyone should have. They all got their essays taken away, but they should have had 44% for the last 2 turns, and they would have had 44% for the whole shebang. So it is what it is. So once again, I'm going to go back and do her skill 1. Now this is where I want her skill 1, not her skill 4 or her skill 3. I'm going to go ahead and do her skill 3 just to get that buff replication once again. The redundancy is worthwhile. Honestly, like I said, I should have done Haruhime's there, but it's fine. It is what it is. We would have had a quad here if I had done it that way. That's fine. Turn 9, we'll get a quad. We'll be happy. All right. So, skill 2 with him, skill 2 with him. Because notice all our buffs are gone. So we need to reapply all the buffs. So, skill 1, skill 2, skill 3, skill 1. Just like you saw on turn 5. Despite what I did just say about that. And are we going to get the quad at the end of this? We actually may not. Let's see. Finn slow. Nope. All right, so I got one more turn for the quad. And that's honestly because I messed up. I would have had the quad here easily had I done the essay on turn 5, but it is what it is. We'll go one more turn of just doing single target attacks. It's going to be super overkill, but here we go. And that does mean that there's a serious amount of damage left on the table. Because I would have had 4 turns with strength 120%, and I now would have had 3 turns with full buffs instead of 2 turns with full buffs. But that's okay. We're going to do our quad essay here. Now, with the quad, Haruhime gives 120% strength and magic to everybody, 44% essay gauge charge, a whole bunch of healing stuff, like everything you can imagine. She does a crazy amount. She does ailment resistance, she does MP healing, all kinds of stuff. So she's a beast. Her buff is imperative. On top of that, Lazar gives 100% light attack damage. So, and physical and magic resistance 60%, which means this big hit that we're going to take on turn 12 is going to be neutralized. So, great that. Fiana's the only one that I really could care less about doing her essay. But at this point, it's 100% buff. I think will be worth running it at least just to see what kind of numbers she gets. And then, I talked about it earlier, Finn is our big DPS. After all the buffs are said and done, Finn is the one that really brings it home. So, and you'll see the numbers here. So Haruhime, she's support. Lazar, he's support, but he hit for 600,000, which, could be better, could be worse. Fiana hit for 1.8 mil. Now here comes our DPS. 2.4 million, which actually I expected a little more out of him, but that's all right. It is what it is. So with him being 2.4 and Fiana being 1.8, the big difference between them is Fiana's AOE. So she takes produces slightly less damage, but she's still an absolute damage monster. She's insane. And the reason Lazar hits so weakly is because he didn't really have a very good light buff. His light buff now comes from the SA. So now we're literally just going to go in and do single target attacks. And then when we get SAs, we're just going to hand those over to Finn and let Finn take advantage of that. So the honest answer is here, had I done my SAs on turn 5, I would have had an extra SA, probably even on this turn. Now, Otaro's going to do another. So every 4 turns, Otaro does a big AoE SA. He's going to hit everybody in this team really hard. But because of the physical and magic resistance we have in place, that's 60%, it's going to be almost completely mitigated. Boom. So, while it did hit for 1,000 with that physical and magic resistance, I'm laughing at it. So once again, we're just going to spam single targets. Notice that his debuff should all be good. Physical resistance down 60% should be replicated. I'm going to do Haruhime's skill 2 just to get that out one more turn and make that a little bit more comfortable. There we go. Haruhime's skill 2 will replicate that, so just so it doesn't go away. There we go. And all that those 60%, anything above 40% is basically applied by the SA. So let's go down here and take a look again. So notice physical resistance is now, for 4 turns. Probably, I guess I didn't need to do it, but I was playing it safe. And Haruhime is not a damage producer. So it is what it is. All right, so Lazar has an SA. We'll go ahead and do that. Once again, had I run that SA earlier, I would have had probably another SA to deal with here. And if I'd had Ali leveled up, I actually might have gotten 3 SAs after my quad. So it is what it is. Play the game how you choose to play the game with the units you have. But let's just kind of see what we get out of this. Haruhime single target. Finn SAing. Everybody else single target. Let's go. Finn by himself. 1.8 mil. So literally Finn by himself did what Fianna did with the quad. And that's worth noting is that Fianna, very good unit. But being AoE does give her a slight disadvantage in an event like this. Like I said, AoE hits are ever so slightly weaker, and I just do mean ever so slightly, than single targets. It's just nature of the beast. So the units that say foes plural in Wrecker Buster don't produce as much, but as you see here, they're still quite viable. And yes, that does mean that as your SA gauge charge goes up, if you have like, +1, +2, +3, +4, 4 is going to be the maximum amount of damage. Okay, so we got 690 million. So I think there's a lot more damage left on this team. Let's see where I rank. So I'm ranked 396. So I'm pretty happy with that. I got a top 500 score. I can then save my skill flow, and I'll be good to go. So let's go in here and save all previous flows. And there we go. And even I can go modify it a little bit and have Fianna do her SA earlier. But I got a top 500 score. And the only other score you could really fight for, is like top 50 score. Other than that, you're not doing any better than this. You're literally not doing any better than this. So for me, I'm ecstatic. I'm happy with this number. And notice I have a +3 and a +4 on this team on the assist side. Now, I always say the assists are worth way more than the adventures. So if I maxed out... Argonaut, thank you, I forgot his name, and Ali, our numbers would be so much higher. And, like I said, modify the turns in which I do my essays. Basically, hopefully this gives you guys an idea of how you want to handle your situation, how you want to handle this going forward. If you have any questions, post them down below. There's a lot of people in here that are even better at Wrecker Buster than I am, obviously, because I've not had a top 50 score in quite a bit of time. But, as I said, top 500. I'm ecstatic. Go get, and notice it's a light team. It's not even a preferred element. This team will take you miles. And as I said before, this isn't even the top team that I've got built. So, like, comment, share, guys. Let me know what you guys thought down below. Good luck to all of you. Even if, like I said, you don't have these units maxed out, take what you learned here. Play with the team. You could get way more damage than I could get out of the team. This team, probably in this event, I'm going to argue with fully maxed out units, fully ascended units, everyone perfect, and some slight modifications. You probably got 800,000, maybe even 1 billion out of this team. There's a lot you could do with this team. So there you guys go. Like, comment, share. Enjoy your scores. Enjoy your free Iris. I'll catch you all in the next one.